What's going on in LeBron's mind, best you can tell as we're conversing right now?
I think the Lakers are in a great position with him. I think the real question that he's got to bring himself to, is he willing to go to the Lakers if he doesn't have another star already there? Basically, would he trust Magic Johnson, the Laker brand, the city of Los Angeles, into getting another star there? If he can get himself comfortable with that, I think the Lakers are in pole position to do it. And while they would love to have Kawhi Leonard to entice him, I also think if you trade the whole roster to get Kawhi Leonard, I'm not sure that that's a great sign for LeBron. I mean, this is a guy who a few weeks ago during the finals was talking about how if you're going to beat Golden State, you got to beat them with the front office too. So that to me is the real question. And if he's not comfortable with that, I do think Cleveland is probably running second, and I think Philadelphia is an option somewhere. But I've been saying it's like 50, 40, 10. LA at 50, Cleveland at 40%, and Philly 10-ish, and maybe 1% other, just to protect myself.
So who's the other? Could it be Houston? I mean, where's Houston in all this, Brian?
Houston, the door is still cracked, but the door pretty much closed this morning when LeBron opted out. Houston really needed to get him to opt in and try to arrange a trade, because now, I mean, it's not closed. You could still do a sign and trade, but it just becomes very complicated. So if LeBron was seriously considering Houston, he probably would have opted into his contract.
Is there a surprise team? There's always a surprise team in free agency 90% of the time, so I guess I shouldn't use the word always. But is there a possibility of a surprise team here?
I don't think so, Rich, because there's only a couple of places that his family would want to live. I could say Miami to answer your question, but I don't feel that that's going to happen. I also think that, again, opting out of his contract today makes it more difficult for Miami. Miami doesn't have cap space to trade to sign him. They would need to arrange a sign and trade, and it's a little bit more difficult now that he's opted out. But I think it's L.A. or Cleveland. I respect Philly's operation. I respect what Philly has going. I think Philadelphia will get an opportunity to pitch him, either his agent or him in some way. I think Houston will also get an opportunity, but I don't feel like they're leaders. I feel like it's L.A. or Cleveland, with L.A. in the lead.
Brian Windhorst here on the Rich Eisen Show. So there's no concern. Obviously, when you say family, where the family wants to live in Los Angeles is a spot where LeBron already has a home and a home base, et cetera. But what about the concerns of being in the Warriors division, let alone being in their conference? Brian, is that not a consideration here?
With all due respect, he's eaten the Warriors' dust ever since the 2016 finals. They beat them on Christmas Day after the 2016 finals, and I think they've lost they've beaten them one time since. And it's like, I think they're 12-1 against LeBron and the Cavs. It's not working in Cleveland right now either. So I think if he goes to LA, I think he recognizes that he's probably not going to beat the Warriors this year, but the future and the upward mobility of the Lakers is probably better than the Cavs at this point. And that's not an indictment on the Cavs. The reason the Cavs resources are depleted is because they've spent the last 4 years winning championships and competing for championships. The Lakers have spent the last 4 years sucking wind. Of course, the Lakers should have more assets and more young players to build from. That's not an indictment, but it is the truth. And I also think that going to Los Angeles opens up a lot of other opportunities for LeBron in the business world that may soothe the reality that he may not be on a team that's the best in his division. And, in my mind, Rich, and I do think in his mind too, I don't think he's concerned about his legacy. In his mind, it is established. People are going to take pot shots at him no matter what happened. If he had one more championship or one fewer championship, he would be getting the same amount of flack. I think he's comfortable with where his legacy is, and I think you'll see that comfort play into the way he approaches this decision.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.